Hi folks, I want to show you a new tool that I've been working on today. It wasn't quite ready when we were doing the first couple of units, which were really explicitly about unit conversion. But those units went pretty well for you. I just graded the quiz and most of you are in really good shape. And I wanted to show you this tool because I think it might be helpful for you through the rest of the course. So we started using unit conversion. But it's a thing that shows up a lot. It's a very useful skill, I think, both in the class and in general. And I'm kind of excited about this thing that I've been working on, and I want to show it to you and then invite you to use it as a tool when you're doing your homework for the rest of the quarter, and give me some feedback about it so that I can help make it be a useful thing for um, students in the future. So the tool is called Unit Tutor or Unitor, and I'll put links to it up in Canvas. And I'm going to use it to sort of walk through the first homework assignment and show you how you might have used it to do that assignment. Um, so the very first question was convert 80 miles per hour to kilometers per hour. So I'm going to type 80 mile per 1 hour as my starting point. And that's the thing I want to convert. And you see that a preview shows up over here showing that one card, 80 miles in 1 hour. And then to convert it to kilometers per hour, I need to change that unit of miles to kilometers. And I would need to know the conversion factor for miles to kilometers, which I happen to know. I'm just going to, for this one, I'm just going to show you how to do that. So it would be 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile. And you can see another card shows up for that conversion factor over here, and it multiplies them. So the factors that you see over here in the source, each line is one factor, and it multiplies them all together, and then it keeps track for you of the units. So there's 80 miles per hour here in the first card, and 1.609 kilometers per 1 mile in the second card. And if there's a mile on the top and a mile on the bottom, then it knows that those are getting divided and they will cancel out. So the units that are left are kilometers per hour, and that's the same number that I got for my result. So that's how you would do the first question. So then I'm going to put a couple of dashed lines to start a new one. Then we'll look at the second card. 60 kilometers per hour to meters per second. Okay, so I'm going to start by writing 60 kilometers in 1 hour. It puts the card down there. And actually, I'm just going to label it. So speed in km per hour. So you can put labels on the cards so you can keep track of what they mean. And I want it to be in meters per second. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that kilometers into meters. So let's see, I know that a kilo means 1,000. So I'm going to try just writing 1,000 meters in 1 km. And cool, the kilometers are now gone, and the units in my answer are meters per hour. Okay, that's closer to what I want because I got rid of the kilometers and turned it into meters. Now I need to deal with the hour part. Okay, well, let's see. I know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. So let me try 60 min in 1 hour. Okay, well, that doesn't look right. The hours didn't cancel out, and the final unit in my result is meter minutes per hour squared. I don't know what that means at all. So I know that this is the right conversion factor, minutes to hours, and I know that I need to turn those hours into minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this bottom right corner button right here and flip it. So the hours goes on the top and the minutes goes on the bottom. And now the hours have canceled, and you can see it's a different color so you can keep track of which canceled with which. And my result is now meters per minute. That's much closer to what I want. Okay, so meters is what I want, so I don't need to deal with that one anymore, but I do need to deal with the minutes. I'm going to turn that into seconds. Okay, so let me try that. Let's see, 60 seconds in divided by 1 minute. And I have that same issue again, meter second per minute squared, and the minutes didn't go away, and that's because it's not flipped over. I want that one to be on the top, so the minutes and the minutes cancel, and I'm left with seconds, and I get 16.7 meters per second. Cool. Very cool. I like it. So now one thing that is going to be useful, if you don't remember all these conversion factors, you're going to want to save some of them. So that meters per kilometer one, that's a useful factor to know. So I'm going to store it. I'm going to put a star on it. And I'm going to label it as meter to meter dash km. Okay. And now let me open this show library. And you can see that card has now been stored for me, so I can use it again later. And that hours and minutes one is also useful. So I'm going to save that one. Hour, min, and this minute second ones is also useful. So I'm going to save that one, minute, second, and save it. So those are all on the side and I can reuse them, and I'm going to use them again in a minute. Okay, so let me put 3 dashes and I'll move on to the third question. 12 feet per second into miles per hour. That one's probably going to reuse some of these factors. So let's see. I'm going to start with 12 feet per 1 second. I want miles per hour. Well, maybe you remember the conversion from feet to miles, and maybe you don't. If you don't remember it, then it's actually possible to kind of create it by using ones that you do remember or that you do have stored already. So, for example, this kilometers to mile one, I'm going to save that one, km to mile, and because I'm thinking I can use something about the meters to kilometers and the kilometers to mile, and I already have these ones about time, about hours and minutes and seconds. So the only thing I'm missing is the feet one. So I'm gonna add in another one that I happen to remember, which is 2.54. Let's see, no, 12 inches in 1 foot. There's got to be a space in between the number and the thing. Okay, that's good. So the feet went away and now I have inches per second. Let me store that one. Inch, feet. And then the one that I was remembering a second ago is the one that from inches to centimeters, which gets me from the imperial system into the metric system or the SI system. So I'm going to do 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And notice that I'm now in the metric system entirely now. Those imperial ones are gone because the inches canceled out and I was left with centimeters. So that one's useful too. Centimeters, inch. And what it's asking for up here is a label so I can keep track of what these factors mean. Okay, so now I want to turn the centimeters into meters and then the meters into kilometers. So I don't have one already about centimeters, but I do know it's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. But that one didn't cancel correctly. I got centimeters squared, second meters. That's weird. But if I flip it, suddenly I'm in meters per second, which is closer to what I wanted. And then here we go. That's another factor that's useful to store. So meters to centimeters. And then we're really close now. I want to go from meters to kilometers and then from kilometers to mile. But at this point, let's see, meters to kilometers, I've already got that factor, so I'm going to stick it in there. And the label came along with it, but it's upside down. I need the meters to go away and the kilometers to show up, so I'm going to flip that one. And now I have kilometers per second. Okay, I had a little pause there and I actually paused the recording because I realized I'd sort of made a mistake and lost track of what I was aiming for. But I think I'm just gonna keep going and show you how we can still get to the result we want. I kind of forgot that we were trying to go for miles per hour, and I was fixated on the kilometers per hour thing for a moment, which isn't what we wanted at all. But we can still get there. So kilometers per second I can now use this factor over here for miles to kilometers, stick that one in there, and then looks like flip it over so that the kilometers go away. And now we're back to miles. So we're back in the imperial system. But I wanted miles per hour. I have miles per second. You can see it's a really tiny number because you don't go very many miles in 1 second. And now I can turn the seconds into hours again to see how many miles you go in 1 hour. So let's see. I want to turn the seconds into minutes. And I'll have to flip that one over so it does miles per minute. And then I need to turn the minutes into hours, which is right there. And flip that one over. So I have miles per hour, 8.18 miles per hour. And you can see that I had rounded it in my solution to 8.2. Okay. So, and then what you could do to submit your work if you were using this as your tool is you could take a screenshot. So I could just do screenshot and do that and save it. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can copy the share link right here. And then that address right there, let me open up a new browser and show you, will bring it back up to the same state that it was in. So I can see exactly what you've done, and I can see your source and your preview. So you can turn in either one of those, either the screenshot or that link, to show me your work on these unit conversions. And then as you're building up a library of useful conversion factors, you might want to save those so you can use them again. So you can hit this export button and it will save a file of all of these factors, and then you could import them in again to reuse them. But you can also get them back by just using this share link. So I'm imagining that the most useful thing for you to do would be to save these links showing your work and showing factors, but you can also export this library of conversion factors. So let me do one more, since this video is getting a little bit long, but just to show you, you can mix all kinds of different units together, and really you can, as long as you're consistent with the way that you type it, you can use different names for the units too. Like I used FT to stand for feet, but I could have spelled out feet, or I could have spelled out foot. Or when I wrote mile up here, I could have said miles, as long as everywhere else I also say miles. Now let me do this third one. The typical American, road trip with the family, total of 5,000 miles to get across the country and back. Okay, so I know that the more miles I drive, the more it's going to cost me in gas. So I know that I want to be multiplying by that 5,000 because more miles means more money. I don't want to be dividing by that 5,000 because that would mean that more miles means less money. So I'm going to start with that one factor. 5,000 miles is my start, and my target is money, is dollars. Okay, so I need to like somehow connect miles to money. So let me write that for dollar per 1 gallon of gas. And the final unit here doesn't really make sense right now, miles, dollar, gallon. And that's because nothing's canceled out. But before I do anything that might cancel, I just want to think about the relationship between these. So more miles means more money, but also more dollars per gallon means more money. So it actually makes sense that this one should be written like this. So the $4 is on top and the 1 gallon is on the bottom. If I flip it, that would mean a bigger price means it's going to cost me less money. I don't think that makes sense. So I think this is probably the best place for it to be, but I'll see how it works out as I add the other factors in. So then there's also 20 miles per gallon that I need to include in there. So 20 miles per 1 gallon. And I'm making sure that I spell the units the same. So if I said miles here, so I should say miles there. And this isn't canceling nicely, but this is measuring the efficiency. I'm going to label that card. So efficiency of the car. A bigger number here means the car is more efficient. But if the car is more efficient, that means it should cost me less money to use it. So I think that's the factor that's wrong. It needs to be flipped over. So I'm going to flip it. And then you notice that it changes over here in the text as well. That puts the gallon per 20 miles. And hey, the gallons and the gallons canceled out in blue, and the miles canceled out in red, and I'm left with $1,000. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. Okay, so if this had been available to you when you were doing this homework, I would have then said, okay, you can take this share link to submit your work. And I would like it if you would add labels and comments on each of these things. And you also could have used this to do this third question about the usage of electricity and so on. But I'd encourage you to try that out on future assignments because this is a sub-skill that shows up a lot in the rest of the course. And if you run into problems with it, things that are confusing, things that don't work quite as you expect, send it to me. It would be really helpful as I'm trying to make this be a useful tool that'll work for future students in the course and more broadly, I'm hoping to share it out as a useful way of learning how to do unit conversion and then as a tool to actually consistently do that well. So I'm going to stop there and hope this is helpful for you.